I was out with some friends a few weeks ago. Mixed crowd. Someone asked me what I do. I tell them, and then this guy, nice enough, means well, says, "So do you think you'll ever move back?"
Back where? I was born here. I grew up here. This is home.
But in his mind, I was still visiting, still temporary and still from somewhere else. And when I said, "I'm back," I never left, he laughed it off like I was being difficult. That question haunts me because it's not hateful, it's not aggressive, it's just automatic. The assumption that no matter how long you're here, no matter what you build, you'll always be a guest in your own country. And that's the thing I want to talk about today. Because the loud racism, the slurs, the violence, the overt hate, that's easy to identify. It's clear to point at and say, that's the enemy. But this is subtle. Subtle, polite, well-meaning erasure. This is the real fight. I call it the subtle shadow. And if you're part of the Indian diaspora, it's your daily reality. Let's talk about why this is so hard to call out. Because there's this narrative that protects it, the model minority myth. You've heard it. Indians are successful. Doctors, engineers, CEOs. Look at them. They've made it. They don't face racism. Sounds like a compliment, right? But here's what it actually does. It makes your struggle invisible. Because the moment people believe you've made it, your experience of racism gets dismissed. You're excluded from diversity conversations. Your complaints don't count. And the data proves this wrong. A recent study by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace found that 1 in 2 Indian Americans report having been discriminated against in the past year. And that's not just institutional. 59% of those polled said they faced discrimination because of their skin color. You're stuck in this exhausting loop, constantly managing what researchers call racial battle fatigue. This low-grade psychological tax of proving that, yes, this is real, and no, you're not overreacting. And the subtle racism doesn't announce itself. It hides in 3 specific patterns. First, you're treated like a perpetual foreigner. Even if you were born here, even if your family's been here for generations. A study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that resumes with distinctly Indian names received nearly 15% fewer callbacks than identical resumes with white-sounding names, even when controlling for education and experience. Same qualifications, different name, different outcome. Meritocracy isn't broken by accident. It's being quietly sabotaged by biased people who won't even admit they have. Second, you're exoticized, not humanized. People love your culture, the food, the clothes, the spirituality, but they don't see you. Your spiritual insights? Oh, that's ancient wisdom. Their spiritual insights? Revolutionary breakthrough. You're a spectacle, not a peer. They love the aesthetic, but they don't respect the person. Third, and this is the hardest one, the fight turns inward. Because we're not just dealing with external racism, we're dealing with the oppressive hierarchies we inherited and still uphold. I'm talking about colorism. I have a Kundalini activation coming up at the end of this month. It's going to be a group session. For more information, make sure to check out the link in the description to secure your spot. This part's uncomfortable, but we have to go there. Colorism isn't just a preference. It's colonial conditioning weaponized against our own people. Lighter skin equals more valuable. Darker skin equals lesser. And before anyone says it's just culture, no, it's oppression. And we're the ones enforcing it. The global skin lightening industry is worth over $3 billion annually. A massive chunk of this is sustained by South Asian communities. Think about that. We're paying billions to erase ourselves. You can't fight external racism while upholding internal hierarchies. You can't demand to be seen as fully human while treating darker-skinned members of your own community as less. That's the shadow work no one wants to do. But it's the most critical part, because if we don't heal this, if we don't dismantle the judgment and inherited conditioning we've absorbed, We just keep recycling the same pain. Liberation doesn't start with them, it starts with us. So what's the actual cost of living in this constant static? You shrink, you code switch, you simplify your name so it's easier to pronounce, you manage other people's comfort at the expense of your own presence. And over time, that becomes your baseline. You stop asking, why should I make myself smaller? And start asking, how much smaller do I need to be to fit in? That's what the subtle shadow does. It makes you question your fundamental right to take up space. And the tragedy is, you lose your power, not because you're weak, but because you're exhausted from fighting battles people refuse to acknowledge are even happening.
So how do we move through this? Not with rage, not with victimhood, with presence. And that starts with brutal self-honesty.
First, stop shrinking. When you feel the subtle sting, the mispronounced name, the where are you from, question the patronizing comment. Don't let it slide to keep the peace. You don't have to be aggressive, but you do have to be clear. Actually, my name is pronounced, I'm from here. Second, look inwards. Confront your own biases, colorism, classism, judgment towards other South Asians who don't fit your idea of respectable. This is the hardest work because it means we've been complicit. But it's also the most liberating.
You can't help the collective heal until you help yourself. Third, bring it to the light. Talk about it. Share your experiences. Don't let the subtle stuff slide. Because the more we name it, the harder it is for people to deny it exists.
The truth is, you are not a victim in this story. You're someone who's been navigating an exhausting, invisible system your entire life. And you've survived it. That alone is power. But survival isn't the goal. Presence is. The work of confronting these internal hierarchies, of refusing to shrink, of demanding to be seen fully. That's not just personal healing. That's generational liberation. So I'll ask you this. What's one way you're going to practice taking up space this week? Not performatively, not loudly, just fully. If this resonated, let me know in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, make sure to share it. Because this is how we rise, not by yelling louder than the hate, but by refusing to disappear.